What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and I'm joined by Michael Galley for another weekly bodybuilding breakdown. And today we're discussing several bodybuilding topics, including the Arnold Schwarzenegger statue in Columbus, Ohio, being defaced. We've got Ronnie Coleman on the Joe Rogan podcast. Plus, we also discuss which current Mr Olympia competitors will be competing on the Olympia stage still in 5 years' time. And if you guys like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe, and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, and you won't miss out on another weekly bodybuilding breakdown. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy this video. What's up, Desktopers? I'm Xavier Wills, and I'm joined, as always, by Michael Galley for the weekly bodybuilding breakdown. And we've got several topics to discuss. Mick, we missed out last week, so we might even do a catch-up episode at some point. But we have several topics. But how have you been in the meantime anyway? I know you've been back in the gym for about 3 weeks now, and you're enjoying filling out a bit more again.
3.5 weeks. It feels good. I've got my cousin over here, actually, from LA, because the gyms are still closed there, and he hasn't trained for a long time. So he's come over. We'll be getting some sessions here at the local gym, getting some good food in. Dallas is almost back to normal, dude. It really is. We went to one of the major shopping centers today. It was pretty busy. So hopefully things keep going in a positive direction, and we're through this, and, on to the next thing, whatever's next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm back in my favorite cafe now. Like, I go down there pretty much every other day, and it's just good, man, to get out of the house and be around people, because I found I enjoy being at home for a certain period of time, but then I got that itch to be like, I need to get out. I needed to go do things, So it feels good to be back.
That's the main thing I know, is just being around people, just being able to have a conversation, which is even at the petrol station, just being able to have a good old, chit chat with the petrol guy.
Yeah, it's weird, hey? Nice. But let's launch into these topics. So we're going to discuss the Arnold statue being defaced in Columbus, Ohio, and this has caused pretty much outrage among bodybuilders, and understandably as well, because this statue is iconic in bodybuilding, and Arnold is obviously iconic hugely in bodybuilding, the most iconic bodybuilder, I'd say, of all time. And they've defaced the statue. They've painted his hands red. They've written, Black Lives Matter, which, we're totally behind. You know what I mean? Like, police brutality is something that you shouldn't be stood for whatsoever, and racism and all that sort of stuff. And they wrote on there, blood is on your hands. So they're obviously indicting Arnold for something that he's apparently done or something like that, but we can't really figure out what that is. And I did see someone comment on Facebook and said, because he hasn't come out and made a public comment, sticking up for, and I suppose advocating for Black Lives Matter, that's the reason why, which I think is a little bit of a weak argument, because it's only, I think even some people are taking time to actually find out more about it and then have a measured response to the whole situation as well, which he might well be doing. So I don't like seeing this whatsoever. What's your thoughts on it, Mick?
I'm with you. I'm all for the quiet protests. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of that in the last week and a half. There's just no reason to do that. Like you said, that's an iconic statue that's been there for a long time, and Arnold's done a hell of a lot for Columbus. So to see that, especially in our community, when I was there last year, it was one of those things you wanted to get a photo with the statue, because it's we've all seen it for years and years and years. So for whoever did it, and I'm quite surprised that they don't know, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of cameras around that area. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe the police do have it and they're looking at it, but that goes beyond quiet protesting, and that's just pure thugs just doing something like that. That just you can't tolerate that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we don't even know if it was an African American, a white person, or whatever. Because I've seen white people vandalizing stuff as well, which is what? Why are you doing it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just an excuse just to. I think a part of it as well is some people that aren't as there's people that are, like you said, protesting, that are passionate about this topic, and like you said, people that are peacefully protesting. I'm all for that, and I'm actually going to get Phoebe Hagen, who's actually an IFBB bikini pro from the UK, and she's actually been doing peaceful protests and really making a big deal out of this as well and doing it the right way, I'd say. But yeah, I think some people now, they've been in their houses for so long with coronavirus, and like, this is an excuse to get out, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying obviously that's a large percentage of people, but I assume there's going to be some people that have probably been in their house for ages in lockdown, and they're like, okay, everyone else is getting out, I'm getting out, and then they just sort of join in. So I don't know how many people do that, but you know, I've seen the photo of that white woman, you know, yelling at a African American police officer, and I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to protest. Like,
you've got no idea. It's like, stop it.
But it's just crazy, and I hope, like, hopefully they're able to like totally restore that statue and obviously get off all that spray paint off the ground and stuff like that, and just because I think it's pretty disgusting act, and I think Arnold's obviously done so much for so many people, including black and white people in the bodybuilding community and around the world, that I don't think that he deserves that to be done to his statue and his monument, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So hopefully that gets fixed up straight away, and it looks good as new again.
Absolutely. Now let's move on and talk about Ronnie Coleman appearing on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now we have seen Joe Rogan have on a former Mr Olympia and Dorian Yates before. I believe that's the only top bodybuilder that I know of that he's had on there. I don't know if he's had Arnold or anyone like that on there before. But this is really interesting. So I saw this go up yesterday that he's going to be on, and it's going to air today, which we did see that. I've listened to about an hour of the hour and 40 odd minutes of the interview. So I've got the last 40 odd minutes to go. And it was pretty good. It was, I mean, there's a lot of what I suppose as bodybuilders, what we've heard before in terms of his surgeries and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like every time you listen to a long form interview with Ronnie Coleman, you find out a little bit extra. And it sounds, man, like his back and neck sound crazy. I'm going to do a video after this discussing the whole interview and a few little points in there, or even just discussing a few little points that came up that I want to sort of dive into a bit deeper. But he's had, I don't know if he said he's had every disc herniated in his back or something like that. That's crazy. Like, and then he's got it, he said something about it being in like cages in his back. Like they've got it in cages so it doesn't move as much or something like that.
And they showed that x-ray of that as well. And you remember Joe just sat back in disbelief.
Yeah.
Looking at And
he's talking about that, like he knows a guy in Dallas, which is perfect for Ronnie because it's not far away and it's, you know, near you obviously as well. Saying that he's like an expert in stem cells and stuff like that, and he was going to get Ronnie onto him. So hopefully that's something that can actually help Ronnie, because obviously the surgeries aren't working. You know, like it seems like to me, like as like just a viewer from distance, like that this is never going to get better. It feels like with just traditional surgeries, because it hasn't worked so far. And the more surgeries you get, it seems like the more you actually need, and the quicker they actually sort of, I suppose, degrade. And he's still in the gym as well, so it's hard to believe it's ever just going to come right with surgeries.
Yeah, he's still training. Maybe that's part of the problem too. But the thing is with Ronnie, he's not going to stop training. And if he did, I just think that would just demoralise him, you know. Like you can see how much it means to him. But that guy that Joe recommended, he was on the podcast probably about a year ago with Mel Gibson. And they were talking about the stem cells then as well. And Mel's been using them full on for the last 3 years. So if you see any latest pictures of Mel, he looks $1 million. He looks amazing. That was actually a very interesting podcast. So if you get the chance, have a listen to that. But I thought Ronnie did a great job. I'm with you. I've only seen probably 40 minutes all up so far, just a few separate clips. I'll watch the whole thing probably tomorrow when I get up. But the only other guy that's done it is Dorian. And Dorian's podcast was amazing as always, that he is. But yeah, it was good to see Ronnie on there. I wonder what sparked it. I wonder how Joe got in contact with Ronnie or how the suggestion came to get Ronnie on there.
I have no idea, man. Like, it was never actually even brought up in the interview from what I heard. Like, I heard from the start of the interview to about an hour in. I never heard them actually discuss that, but it was some pretty cool stuff that Ronnie was, like, sort of talking about, the way he was sort of talking about things. Like, even he's talking about being in isolation now and being in lockdown. He's saying that, like, he's like, I don't know if I want to go out and travel anymore. I enjoy being home and being with my kids too much, you know? He's saying all that sort of stuff. And I was like, that's cool. And he's like, I've been loving it, you know? Like, and he's like, what I found funny, he's like, I take my kids to Burger King every day. And I'm just like, every day? Like,
every day?
I wouldn't even want to say that as a parent.
And the thing is, he's got the most kick-ass home gym imaginable. Like, his home gym is sick. He's still got the 200-pound dumbbells. I highly doubt he'd be using them now, but they're there. But do you agree, out of every bodybuilder that you know in the history, pretty much of bodybuilding, that for this to happen to Ronnie, he's probably one of the only ones we know that would be able to handle it the way he does?
Yeah,
and just gets on with life. He just smiles and just, it is what it is, and just gets on with life.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Like, his attitude is crazy. And Joe Rogan even made a point of this, saying his attitude is like the right attitude to have, because Ronnie said, as long as I can keep training, then I don't have a problem. And he said, but if I can't train anymore, he's like, then he'll have a problem, you know? Because like, I don't know anyone that loves training as much as Ronnie Coleman, because for me, if I was in that pain, I wouldn't train. Like, just straight up, honestly, I wouldn't. If I could do a few curls, I'd be happy, whatever. But he still goes in there and does stuff. Like, I remember after one of his surgeries, it was, I don't know how long after it was, but he was in there leg pressing, like, and it was a decent amount of weight. Like, I think it was like 5 plates a side or something, or 4 plates a side. And I'm like, probably not a good idea, but he loves it that much that without it, I feel like he'd be depressed. So it's like, what do you do?
I agree. Absolutely. I'm the same. And it's funny, it's Metroflex, that main one, like Bride Dobson's, that's only about 40 minutes from my house. So I've only been there once, to be honest, since I've moved to Dallas. But I was going to suggest maybe to Gary to go out there. Mind you, it is pretty hot at the moment. It's getting up to hundreds, so it would be damn hot in that gym.
You got to do it, though. You got to do it.
Like I said, I've only done it once, and it was March last year, so it was quite good. It was nice.
How big is the gym?
Hard. How big?
Yeah.
It's smaller than what you think from when you've seen the videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just got that feel to it when you walk in there. Like, it's just nuts. It's crazy. So, but yeah, it's not too far. It's only 40 minutes. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So when you come and visit me, I can take you out there.
Definitely. Like, that's something you just got to tick off the bucket list. You know, I've been to Metroflex where Ronnie Coleman was pretty much born, you know, like.
Yeah. Where he became the best
anyway.
in the world.
Yeah. So that's super cool. But anyway, let's move on. Let's discuss who we think will be in the Olympia in 5 years' time that is currently competing. Because when you go back and look at Olympias from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's amazing how many guys that have just retired. And just with bodybuilding, it seems like guys they just don't compete. You forget about them and they're just gone. You know, like, it's really, really funny like that. But let's discuss and go over the Mr. Olympia from last year. Some of the names are on there. So you got William Bonac, Max Charles, Hardy Chupin, Lucas Ozdil, Michael Lockett, Muhammad Shaban. You got Dexter Jackson, Steve Kuklo, Luke Sando, who obviously sadly passed away, Patrick Moore, Cedric McMillan, John De La Rosa, Juan Morel, Brandon Curry, Akeem Williams, and Rolly Winkler. So they're the current ones. Now, sorry?
I'm just laughing because who have you picked out of that group? Because I looked at the last 4 Olympias and just went through different names. And it'd be interesting to see your take on this. Who are the only names in that group that you just read out that you would put in 5 years?
Now, in terms of guys that are going to compete, so Flex Lewis is one that I just want to say, I think he'll be up there, obviously, and I think he'll still be there competing in 5 years. Now, outside of that, I would say William Bonac will still be in the Olympia. Now, I'm talking about guys that will still qualify for the Olympia too. So I'd say William Bonac, I think he can still be there. I think his physique looks fresh. It doesn't ever seem like it's going backwards in any regard, apart from when he had that little bit of an injury. So I'd say William Bonac. Max Charles, I'm going to say no. Hardy Chupin, I'd say yes, if he's allowed in the country, obviously. Lucas Ozdil, I would toss a coin on that one. Michael Lockett, I'd say no. Just the reason for Michael Lockett is because he has that one quad that seems to shrink a lot, and he's literally said that he's like bone on bone in that knee. So I don't think that he'll last another 5 years with that issue. Muhammad Shaban, I think he can definitely still be up there. He's a new pro and qualified in his first go out. Dexter Jackson, no. He's 50 years old and this is his last Olympia. Steve Kuklo, I'd say yes. Patrick Moore, I'd say yes. Cedric McMillan, I'm going to say no if I had to put my life on it, because he is getting up there in age and we really don't see his placings going upwards, and I feel like he might not stay in the sport for as long as we may think. John De La Rosa, I'm going to say yes. Juan Morel, I'm going to say yes. Brandon Curry, yes. Akeem Williams, yes. And Rolly Winkler, I'm going to say yes. But honestly, I think a bunch of those that I said yes to will be no's in 5 years' time. So
shit. Well, now I feel like a prick with my list. I hope I don't offend anyone.
Honestly, I feel like I should have said more no's, but I'm like, if it's 50-50, I'm just going to say just yes. So like, some of these guys, like Rolly Winkler, I'm going to say, I'm like 55% sure we'll be competing in 5 years' time. Like Akeem Williams, about the same. Like, it's not like I'm so 100% on these guys, you know?
The issue I have with that is like 5 years is a long time, and it's going to come down. There's some guys there where, 50-50. It's going to come down to how much motivation they've got, because some guys can just lose it so fast. But I agree with you. Flex Lewis, Flex will be in this year's Olympia. He'll be definitely going another 5 years. I think he's going to have a point to prove in the Opens. Absolutely. But I'm going to put in Hunter as well, because Hunter will win Tampa, and then Hunter will be in this Olympia. He's going to be in the Olympia for the next 5 to 10 years. But out of that list you just said, The only three I had was Hattie, because I believe even though Hattie's a little bit older, he's got a lot of things to make up for what's happened to him in the last, few years. Not the Olympia just been, but not being allowed to compete.
Yeah.
Steve Kluko, for some reason, I just think Steve's coming into a period of his competing that he's absolutely loving. Like, he's really enjoying it. And I really think he'll be around for another 5 years. Patrick Moore, obviously, like he's just coming on strong. They were the only three guys out of that list that I was 100% sure they'll be there in 5 years' time.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about being 100% sure, if we're talking about if it's 50-50, like which way do you lean?
Sure.
Now, I'm going to go over the 5 guys that I think are sort of that I'm most sure on. So I'm going to say William Bonac. I just feel like he's going to be there. I'm going to say the same 3 guys you said, the exact same 3 guys. I totally agree with that. And then I'm going to throw Brandon Curry in there as well, just because he's the current Mr. Olympia. He only just won his first Olympia. He's not that old. I think he's still got enough years in him, and he's obviously got the shape. He hasn't had any injuries that look like it's hurt his physique or anything like that. So I think he's still got a very fresh physique, and I think the best is still ahead of Brandon Curry. And the fact that he's still got the best ahead of him, I think that he'll be able to continue to improve for maybe up to 3 to 4 years and come in at his best over the next few years. But what's your thoughts on Brandon Curry? Do you think he'll still be on the stage in 5 years' time if you had to put your life on it?
If I had to put my life on it, I hate doing that. No, and I feel bad saying it, but I just don't think. I think he's going to go. I think you're right. I think he's going to be better this year. I think he's going to be better next year, and then I'm not sure how it's going to go. I don't know.
It's still 3 more years, isn't it?
I've got some other names that I was thinking as well that have been in the past Olympias, say last year and the year before, that will definitely be there in 5 years, which is Ian Valliere.
Yep.
I think Nathan Diasha will still be around on that Olympia stage. And now this depends on what he's going to do mentally wise and stuff like that. Big Josh.
Yep.
If he does decide to go all in again, he's still young enough where he'll be around in 5 years' time, for sure.
Yeah. If Josh mentally goes all in, his health is good, all that sort of stuff, he'll be around in 5 years' time, because I feel like his physique can do that. And he's got the amount of size that I think he'll be able to be a top guy as long as he brings that conditioning with the size. But the other guys you mentioned, they're great selections as well, because we did have a lot of guys obviously missing out of the Olympia last year. So it's going to be good to see all those guys. And we've got so many guys coming through. Like, that's the thing I'm really excited about in bodybuilding right now. I feel like you said, we're going to see a lot of these guys probably drop off and maybe not even be able to qualify for the Olympia, because we've got so many good guys coming up. And there's only so many spots. You see 16 guys in last year's Olympia, but really we're missing a whole bunch of guys as well. So maybe you've got a maximum of 20 guys in the Olympia. It leaves a lot of guys out, So I think we've got guys like Quinton Araya, we've got guys like Hunter Labrada, like you mentioned, Nathan Diasha still to be added in there, Josh Lenardowitz. That's already like 4 or 5 guys off the top of my head, and then you've got tons more young guys coming up. You've got Antoine Villiant. Sorry?
Yep. Quinton.
Yeah, Quinton. Yeah, you got so many good guys coming up that I think it's just a super exciting time for bodybuilding. There's even guys we're not even mentioning. There's another guy that Patrick Tour's working with as well that he looks sensational. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a guy that's super underrated. I think he placed 3rd in his first pro show last year or something like that. And there's just so many good guys that aren't household names yet.
Yeah, I'm excited. One, when the comp season starts again and we can get back and talk on what we love about, which is, just comp placings and things like that. But the future Olympia, like the future Olympia, I think we're just in a massive crossroads at the moment, which reminds me back when the guys they all pretty much retired around the same time too, like Kevin and Sean and those sorts of guys retiring around the same time. We're just about to come up to that again in the next year or so, with a lot of the top guys going to retire, and the new guys coming on board. But man, it's going to be interesting to see Hunter and guys like Flex fighting it out, in the next, maybe in the next, be interesting to see how they go this year, but definitely in the next couple of years, see those two going head to head.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for that, because I feel like we've seen maybe, if Phil doesn't compete this year at the Olympia, I think that Phil's done. So you see Kai Green obviously going out, you got Phil Heath. Kai Green's really been out for 4 years or so now. But you see obviously Kai Green, Phil Heath going out. We're going to see Dexter Jackson going out. And that's, that's pretty much a top three in many Olympias, So I think we're seeing sort of the old guard go out now, and then we're going to see a heap of influx of new talent coming through in that Olympia stage. And that's what I'm really excited for, There's so many good guys coming up, and so many guys. The thing that I really like, so many guys with good shape as well coming up. So I feel like we're going to see an era where we're not going to just see the out and out mass monster winning the Olympia. We've got Brandon Curry this year who has a ton of mass, but he does have that great shape with it. And when he comes in really good conditioning, you wouldn't just say, oh, he's a straight up mass monster, even though he is completely huge. But I really like that. And that excites me as well for bodybuilding, because I feel like that's going to bring more, I suppose, more eyes to the sport that don't just go, ew, yuck, he looks gross,
Exactly, 100%. And that's what we need, I think. A bit more of that, and get the crowds up again. And exciting Olympia coming up.
Absolutely. And I think even when you think about it, like 10 years ago, there was a lot of, I suppose, mass monsters with messy physiques as well. Like Marcus Rule in his later years, he really did have a messy physique. You look at his biceps and they didn't look, quite right. And his shape just wasn't pleasing at all. Then you had obviously Ronnie Coleman, and his stomach grew a bit bigger. Jay Cutler, as much as I love him and love his physique, he did have the wide hip structure. Then you had guys like Paco Batista, who really was just conditioning, but just not great shape at all. Branch Warren. So you had a ton of guys that just didn't have the shape, I suppose, and the nice clean lines and the small waist. But really, when you look at the top guys at the Olympia now, and even the whole Olympia lineup, I mean, I'm looking through last year's Olympia now. You could say Rolly Winkler maybe doesn't have the, he's a mass monster that doesn't have amazing shape, you might say. Lucas Ozadil, but I think he's got pretty nice shape. Really, there's no other names in there that I'm like, yeah, they're just mass with no shape, or big guts or anything. There's not too much of it. Dexter Jackson has a little bit of a protruding belly, but you'd still say he's more of an aesthetic guy. So I'm super excited for the future of bodybuilding now.
Same. I'm pumped. I can't wait for these comps to come around again, Zaves. I really can't. It's exciting, dude.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? I had a dream last night that I had to cover a comp this weekend. I thought it was like the USA's or the Nationals or something. I'm like, oh, cool, I've got a comp to cover this weekend. And I woke up actually thinking that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to do videos on Sunday. And I was like, wait, what comp's on? And I'm like, I had a dream. So that's how extreme it is now, man. But so it's been good to get back on you. Sorry?
You need to get your butt to the Olympia.
I know. Hopefully we can make that happen. Man, I was even, I mentioned under Dan Solomon's post, because he put up something about the Olympia on Facebook. And I said on there, I was like, might even have to do the amateurs. Like, they still have the amateurs on, man. Like, I would love to come over and compete in that. Like, that would be cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's a good, James, that's not a bad idea to think about that.
Yeah, it's good time with my baby as well. So, because my baby's due on the 12th of September, and I feel like maybe the end of year shows might be a bit tough, but I'm sort of hoping my baby comes in August. So maybe I have a bit more time. We'll see. But I might even start prepping, do a few weeks. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And then, I could just push to the end of the year, because it's, right before Christmas. I can come home, some Christmas presents, like
happy days, New Year's.
Yeah, exactly.
Roll it into 221.
Yeah. Sweet, man. All right, it's been awesome recording with you once again, Mick. We're going to have to make this definitely regular. We'll do it the same day every week or something so we don't miss out. And maybe the next one we'll do a Q&A with it as well, just to make up for the lost episode from last week. So if anyone has any questions, make sure you post them in the comments below, and we'll answer them next week on the weekly bodybuilding breakdown. And also, if you have any topic suggestions as well that you want us to cover, put that in the comments as well. And that's it for another video with myself, Xavier Wills, and Michael Galley. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up and smash that like button. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills, and obviously Michael Galley for the weekly bodybuilding breakdown. So that's it for another episode. For Xavier Wills and Michael Galley, we are out.